Hello, you snacks. Well, welcome back. My name is Jack, and today we're celebrating some of the innovative ways people try to avoid, but ultimately fail, coming across as a-holes on the internet. So, sit back, relax with some tea or other refreshing refreshment, and let's begin. Am I the a-hole for pointing out that my girlfriend is a hypocrite? My girlfriend, who's 29, is pretty anti-consumerist and anti-capitalist. She is very much about reducing waste and buying as little as possible. She has less clothing than me, 28 male, which I had never encountered from a girlfriend before. She rarely wears makeup and owns like one bag. She drives a Toyota Matrix, but prefers to use her bike or the bus when the weather is good enough. She has a vegetable garden and has been talking about getting backyard chickens when we own our own place, as our city now gives out permits for it. She's into growing her own food. But okay, so she is pretty frugal and she makes around $130K as a DevOps engineer. However, she also owns 2 apartments, both in the city she used to live in, and now we rent a townhouse together, but we might buy as soon as we are engaged. She used to live in one and rent out the other, but now that she doesn't live in the city, she rents out both. She also has a business where she does consulting and freelance tech work on top of her regular job. We were talking about this and she criticized a TikToker I watched for their lifestyle and how wasteful it is and how they overconsume. I got a bit defensive because I honestly would get an expensive car if I had the money to, and pointed out she has 2 apartments in a pretty expensive city and she has her own business. Her lifestyle is frugal and non-flashy, but she is a landlord and she makes probably close to $200K with her business. So how is it more okay to do that and make money from tenants? Oh, but TikTokers get judged because their house is big and their car is nice? I do think she will judge me because I want a Dodge Challenger Hellcat and she told me it was a waste of money, and I feel like she does the same thing by spending money buying apartments. She wouldn't be able to keep them without tenants, so how is that being anti-consumerist and anti-capitalist? Basically, I called her a hypocrite and she told me I just want to spend irresponsibly, but I don't have the money for it, so I'm getting mad at her for being able to afford it and not choosing to. She was pretty annoyed when I challenged her on her views and has been pretty cold since. If you are confused, don't worry. It's not your fault. Literally nothing they've pointed out makes her a hypocrite. You sound ridiculous and foolish. You started a pointless argument without a valid viewpoint because you think she'll judge you for wanting expensive material things and made yourself an a-hole in the process. Unless girlfriend happens to secretly be the biggest slumlord in the city, I don't see how renting out her apartment is in any way similar to people flexing their probably non-existent wealth on social media. This OP just sounds jealous because he would love to live that lifestyle, but can't afford it, while his girlfriend can, but won't do it for ethical reasons. I suppose this boils down to how of an extremist of anti-capitalism and consumerism do you want to be? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are making a profit off something, that's basically the life of capitalism. And technically, she is doing that by having multiple apartments. Now, if you think that does make her a soon-to-be slumlord, another comment highlights an important thing to consider. Well, it seems that she had that property for work and before she moved in with you, renting it while you two figure it out. There's no problem here. It's not actually capitalism. It's just her backup plan. And yeah, I could see that. If I owned property and then moved in with my partner, I'd still keep the other property around while I could still make some decent profit off it and maintain it. Once I don't have the time or expense to maintain the property anymore, yeah, then I'll just sell it off. I don't think that would make you a hugely hypocritical anti-capitalist though. But either way, what do you think? Hypocrite or man just upset he doesn't get his toy car? Am I the a-hole for making my girlfriend walk back from the gym after her sexist comments? Okay, a little bit of a backstory. On Friday, my girlfriend sent me a message saying it was discrimination that our local pool had a men's only hour. I thought she was joking about it, so I just kinda ignored the comment. Anyway, we were driving to the gym, my car, she doesn't drive, this morning, and she started the conversation back up again, saying stuff like, "It's not fair," and "Why isn't there a woman's hour?" and "If they were going to have a men's hour, they should do it out of peak times." The pool actually only offers it between 7 to 8 p.m. on a Friday evening. I told her I didn't agree with her and that there's men that don't feel comfortable being in a swimsuit around women. She continued to argue, but I told her I wouldn't argue with her and I believed that she was wrong. Mostly, I just wanted to get on with my gym session, sort this later, and not start a big conversation at that moment. Anyway, we're getting to the end of our session, and I've been stewing. She asked what's wrong, and I told her I was annoyed at her earlier comments. She started back up again with her point about it being discriminatory, and that's when I lost my temper. I told her I was done with this conversation, and if she wasn't going to listen to me, that I was leaving. So, as I grabbed my bag and coat and made my way out, I told her, "Oh, it's a men's-only car, and she can make her own way back." She lives in the next town over, so she's got a real big walk back home. Now, while I'm upset that a woman that I love holds these sort of opinions that I didn't know about, I'm not sorry I told her she was wrong. I'm questioning our whole relationship now. What do I feel a little bad about is leaving her at the gym to walk a good 3 miles to the train station in the rain. I have not spoken to her since. Am I the a-hole? So this man's girlfriend doesn't like gender discrimination and he punishes her by making her walk alone in the rain. Yes, that'll change her mind about how men are discriminatory towards women, but I'm sure as you listen to this story, you found it to be a bit, sus. Undoubtedly, this must be like the first time you've ever heard this idea that men are uncomfortable being in a swimsuit around women. This left many others also questioning this sort of thing. Like, how is there not a women-only hour with this sort of issue? It sounds like there would be. Honestly, this reads like someone took an old Am I the A-hole and did a gender swap in order to prove something. And oh, would you look at that? They were right. Literally, word for word. 3 years ago, someone made this exact post, but with the genders swapped. And you might think, okay, so they swapped this post around because they wanted to see if it was an opposite result. If everyone is still going to be as nata about this post as they would if it was a man who was making their woman walk alone for 3 miles to the train station in the rain. But what is so stupid about this little straw man attempt is that the majority voted that everyone sucks, as the top comment said back then. So questioning the whole relationship makes sense, but not giving him a ride back, especially during the pandemic, is taking things too far. You could have let him ride back and then just broken up with him. Making him find his own way back is a potential health and safety issue. I would consider it more extreme to have done this now during the pandemic, and probably in bad weather for it too, given the time of the year, than I would consider breaking up to have been. This does raise some interesting points though. Ultimately, it just seems to be unanimously agreed that the person complaining was willing to agree to disagree, while the OP in both cases was, "Agree with me or go home on your own!" Like it brings up that whole argument that they're not saying that women hour once a week is wrong, he's just saying that men should be given the same option. But then, okay dude, pitch it. Organize it. Do the very thing that the women did to actually get this to work for them. Watch that. Oh no, you just actually wanted to complain? You didn't actually want this to be a thing for men? Like, for God's sake, don't call out gender discrimination but make no actual effort to, appease the very thing you're upset about. Am I the a-hole for not asking my girlfriend of 3 years to be my +1 at my best friend's wedding? Hey Reddit, throwaway here for a situation that's causing some tension. Here's the rundown. So I'm 30 male, and I'm set to be a groomsman and witness at my best friend Mike's wedding. Mike and I share a deep bond that spans years, and I'm genuinely thrilled to be part of his big day. The challenge is that I haven't invited my girlfriend Sarah of 3 years to be my +1. It's not just about past mistakes and concerns about her affecting the mood, but there's an additional layer. She doesn't like Mike. Despite Mike and I being as close as brothers, he has consistently given her the cold shoulder, intensifying her dislike for him. Wow, sounds like Mike's the issue here then. Maybe you should deal with Mike and not ban your partner? Now, during our conversation about not inviting her, I brought up her dislike for Mike, and she admitted to it. Sarah's willing to set aside her feelings to support me, but there's another layer to this saga. I've previously made a mistake in our relationship, and she's still working through trust issues. She's not confrontational in public, but I've noticed that when other individuals are around, her discomfort is palpable. This has led to occasional outbursts, making me wary of bringing her into social situations where her insecurities might be triggered. I'll give you some time to figure out what this mistake was. So vague. Adding to the complexity, I'm away for work frequently, so Sarah was genuinely excited to be spending 3 days with me during the wedding, as we don't get much quality time. Considering her past reactions, ongoing trust issues, and the limited time we have together, I'm concerned having her at the wedding might not only affect her enjoyment, but also impact the overall mood of the celebration. Balancing my loyalty to Mike and my responsibility to ensure Sarah doesn't feel out of place is proving to be a tough call. So first thing I think we need to highlight, that word there, buddy, loyalty, it's kinda meant to be with your partner. Not with your best mate. Well, look, it can be, but in this context. So to nip this in the bud, what were these mistakes he made? Well, grabbing one of the OP's comments here, in the past, when I've received attention from other girls and engaged with them, my girlfriend has had a tendency to shut down. I want to avoid putting her in a situation where her discomfort may resurface, particularly during an important event like Mike's wedding. All these women talk to me with a clear intention to hook up despite my girlfriend being right there. There's only one solution to resolve this, to ensure I keep my partner happy. Babe, you have to stay home. You can't be at the wedding. So this dude mega sucks, making it seem like her insecurity is somehow the reason she's not invited, and he's looking out for her and his friend, when the reality, he's a little cheater who doesn't want to deal with the messy aftermath of being caught. Like, come on, dude. Why would you engage with some random women flirting with you? Your solution to this is to just remove your partner from being able to see you do it. You clearly want to cheat. It's just so obvious. One comment highlights the idea of him being a passive passenger, basically going through life when things happen around him. It's not like anything is ever his fault or because of his actions. He's basically blaming everything on his girlfriend while he's there flirting and cheating. Oh, and in case you think that flirting is the only evidence of this possible cheating behavior, some more comments of OP. When on a work trip, I was involved with a colleague for 4 nights, which my girlfriend wasn't happy about when she found out. Now, to be fair, things were at a rocky place between us during that time. I understand the concerns, and I'm aware of the complexities in our relationship. That's right, his perception of his partner finding out he was cheating for 4 days straight was, oh, she just wasn't really happy. Now, before we go into the update, there are some extra things to note. Turns out he has actually spoken to Mike about the way he treats his girlfriend, and basically, instead of being a good friend and giving him some tough love to, hey, respect my partner, bro, he's instead just done his best to make sure they're never near each other. Like, wow, man, you're willing to commit to that for the rest of your life? Naturally, that gets many to question, do you actually love your partner? Sounds like you are miserable, sounds like she's absolutely miserable and mistrusting of you for valid reasons, and, well, apparently he's adamant that is the case. Do love her very much, will do whatever he can to make this work. Well, buddy, you've got a ton of answers as to what you can do, so what does the update tell us? So, returning to this post a few days later, I get it, I am the a-hole. In my opinion, weddings are a big life event, and you'd only want to have guests who genuinely wish the couple well. In this context, if my girlfriend doesn't like Mike and attending the wedding would make her unhappy, it raises the question of whether her presence aligns with the joyful spirit Mike and his fiancée would hope for on their special day, and if her presence might cast a shadow over the celebration due to her feelings towards Mike. It could be argued that it's in everyone's best interest, including hers, for her not to attend. Now look, to be clear, I'm not going to this wedding to cheat. This mistake happened over a year ago, and we've talked about this, and although there is still some hurt and insecurity from her side, which is understandable, we have moved past this. We decided to set up a dinner with Mike and his fiancée to give the relationship between them another go. Let's see things where they go from here. Thanks for all of your comments. It was eye-opening. So how are people taking his thoughts? Wow, only took you hundreds of people on the internet to get it through your head that you screwed up. Congrats on the bare minimum, what you should have done in the first place. Can always trust on Reddit to never be satisfied. That said, I do think they have a point. All he's done here is tried another peace treaty, implying that, once again, the girlfriend is somehow at fault for her behavior towards all this, and isn't at all responding to Mike's disrespect in the first place. Also, if you want to fix your partner's distrust of you, maybe don't hide her in the closet whenever some women are being disrespectful towards your relationship. If anything, the next time a woman comes up to you to flirt, you should run over to your partner and vigorously, passionately make out with them. As long as they're into that. And now for a completely innocent story in r/horses. Curious about getting my girlfriend a horse and what it would entail, a responsibility, and costs. Hello everybody, I'm a 33-year-old male and I am looking to get my girlfriend a horse for her birthday. I have some questions that I thought you guys might be able to answer, like how much would a cheap horse cost? How much space would it need at minimum? For owners who own a single horse, what are the yearly costs generally? Any advice for a first-time horse owner? All comments are welcome. Also, can I pay for a horse with a credit card until I get enough money? P.S. I would help take care of my girlfriend's horse while she graduates from university, so for the next 3 to 4 years. But after she has more free time, I would like her to take care of it. It's going to be staying on my parents' ranch until she graduates, and then I am hoping to buy our own property where the horse can live. I am just a little worried about how much responsibility it is. because my girlfriend is basically 19 and hasn't had this much responsibility before. Nothing is a sure thing, but I just want to see what the other horse owners think about it. She will be the happiest girl in the world. I'm sure that 19-year-old will be very happy with her, what was that again? Oh, yes.
33-year-old boyfriend.
But congrats to OP, they got the moderators involved. Nope. That's it. All they say. No reminders to respect the post, just nope. Like again, let's highlight this. It's not a 19-year-old, it's basically a 19-year-old. Hey, but honestly though, you must really love her if you're getting her a horse, so who am I to judge? Random commenter on the internet, let me introduce you to a thing called love bombing. Now, people who are offering genuine advice are trying to hint the fact that this is a terrible idea, because this is just lumping a huge responsibility onto a young adult who isn't even finishing their studies yet for another 3 to 4 years. It's expensive, you're gonna need more than one horse if you want them to actually be a happy and satisfied animal. You basically always need to pay in cash, and they can be dangerous and intimidating to work with. I know words. On a daily basis, you can spend 2 to 3 hours caring for them. But also, once again, it's their further comments that just prove how much of a clusterfuck this entire situation is. See, they posted a lot of comments, so I'm going to try and summarize a lot of them. But basically, with more people telling them that this is a bad idea and you shouldn't do it, they respond, well, we're going to get married, so I'm not worried about that. I think it will take me a year before I actually get one, so by then she will only have 2 years of university left. After all, as he says, he's a provider and he's caring. What does he provide exactly? Well, that's when we go over to career guidance, another subreddit, where he's also asked, hostile work environment from my coworkers and my boss. Can't stop making jokes at my expense about my relationship. How do I proceed? I'm a 33-year-old working at a blue-collar job with a pretty large crew. Anyways, we get along fine, but recently my girlfriend came to pick me up, and she's really mature, but turning 19 in less than a month. So we have a decent age gap. And basically the post goes on to be told that he gets made fun of and shamed for it, because everyone thinks it's weird and kind of creepy that he's dating someone who is only still yet to turn 19. So he wonders, out of all the things, how much can you sue your co-workers? For you see, this provider is in a dilemma, because until he does this, his girlfriend, who again he's the one providing for, doesn't even want to pick him up after school anymore because how negatively these guys reacted. Truly a provider man, isn't he? So okay, it's all the co-workers that are wrong. He's a genuinely good guy. They're going to get married and everything, which makes another person ask the question, hey buddy, does she know you use meth? You should tell her. Why would I when I quit? You see, friends, other people have done some digging on his post history, and apparently he smokes meth, lives with a roommate in a trailer. He doesn't have horse money, especially when he is trying to sue his co-workers for making fun of him. Technically, she is still 18. He has other problems to worry about. He tries defending himself. No, I have completely from being an addict. But I use on occasion. Oh, buddy, I have rules set up so I can make sure it doesn't get out of hand. That's not... You can't say you've quit something if you're still doing it. Doesn't matter if it's in control now. Again, going back to them responding to, why would I when I quit? Others point out that he's used at least twice in the last 60 days, according to Reddit. That's using. Quitting looks and sounds like, I just got my 5-year medallion, not, I only use on the weekends. Now he tries to deflect by bringing up his 30-day sobriety with alcohol, which, okay, look, good for you, man. Proud of you for fighting off these addictions. But as others comment state, the problem is the fact you are hiding all of this from your girlfriend. It's almost as if you know it's wrong and she'd rightly freak out. Like if it's not right to tell her the truth, it's not right to be with her in the first place. Because you built your relationship on misrepresenting yourself. And to sign him off with the best counter-argument ever. Well, that's like saying if you cheated on someone and don't tell them, then you should break up with them. I'm just gonna let us sit on that for a moment. Let that logic marinate. Anyway, TLDR, active 33-year-old meth user wants to spoil his 19-year-old girlfriend with a pony he will never afford. Absolute props to the gentleman for fighting off his addictions in a more controlled manner, but you still have addictions, and you should prioritize fixing those things before going after teenagers. Now over to a man screwing around and finding out. I, male 34, felt neglected by my wife, and I met another woman, female 29. The other woman told everything to my wife. How can I get my wife back? I have been married for 5 years, and I have a child who's 2. 3 years ago, I started feeling neglected by my wife. She was not giving me attention anymore, and we stopped being intimate because she refused to. Hey boys and girls, it's time for math. Pregnant wife plus won't sleep with me equals I'm allowed to cheat, apparently. I downloaded Tinder and met one girl, whom I had a short relationship with, mainly based on intimacy. Later, she found a boyfriend, so we stopped seeing each other. I met another girl on Instagram, and we started talking every day for 3 months. I felt lonely at home, and this girl gave me love and affection. She listened to me, we video called for hours every day. I told her I was separated from my wife. We met after 3 months because we live in different countries. I organized a trip to her country to visit her. When we met, I realized we had different expectations about our meeting and the future. I did not want to leave my wife. I just wanted a non-committed fling, visiting her once a month, spending a couple of days with her, and then going back to my family, while she thought we were going to have an actual relationship. But when I realized we had different expectations, I took distance from her, and I left the country. I had to stay there 1 week, while I only stayed 2 days and a half. Well, she got mad that I left, and she texted my wife. She asked my wife if we were separated. My wife got mad and told me she wants a divorce. How can I get my wife back? I want her to understand that I love her, and the reason why I met another woman is because I feel neglected by her. After I slept with the other girl, I felt guilty, and I realized I only have feelings for my wife. How do I explain her these things? How can I get her back? Also, I would like to take revenge on the other girl who literally tried to destroy my life. She sent my wife pictures of us together. How can I take revenge on her? So yes, amazing how he felt neglected right around the time he knocked his wife up. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. Man can't control his libido because he knocked his wife up and is upset of the consequences of his actions of not wearing protection. Tries to resolve this by using a woman as a bangmaid and then is upset when she doesn't want to be used as a bangmaid. Now thinks he can justify himself being forgiven because he was feeling neglected. Because as we all know, it's always how he individually feels about the situation, not at all the people he betrays. Am I the buttface for trying to make sure a girl was safe? I'm 37 male and have a chronic pain condition, so I'm at my local pharmacy pretty often, about twice a month. There is a technician there, S, 18 female, who's always been the absolute sweetest. If I'm being 100% honest, chatting with her helps with my pain as much as the meds do. I've started popping in when I know she'll be there. S and I have built a kind of a rapport, so the other day I noticed she was acting kind of off, and I asked her about it. After a bit of back and forth, she admitted she and her boyfriend were having an argument. I asked if there was anything she needed, but she brushed it off and said he was on his way by to talk to her and she was just nervous. Like I said, S is just the sweetest, and I didn't want to see anything bad happen to her, so I kind of hung around the pharmacy for the next hour or so. Right before they closed, I saw him, dressed in grimy clothes and messy hair and all around looking disheveled. This heightened my sense of danger, and I trailed him into the pharmacy and stood a couple of aisles over so I could hear them talk. I expected S to talk over the counter to him, and I figured I wouldn't be visible, but she came out of the back area and basically ran right into me. She asked what I was doing there and acted surprised. I said I had just realized I needed to pick something up, but her snotty boyfriend said he saw me standing outside and that I only came in when he came in. I didn't think he had noticed, but I guess he did. I gave him a bit of a stare down before S basically pulled him away and they left. Fast forward to today. I went in to get my meds and lo and behold, when I went to the counter, S was there, but she busied herself with other work and the pharmacist came over and rang me up. After the transaction, he told me he would be transferring my prescription to a different store and that in the future, he and his staff didn't feel comfortable serving me. This came as a shock to me as I'm basically a regular and on great terms with all the staff. I half-jokingly called out to S and asked if she could believe this, but she completely ignored me. I felt like a pariah, and I felt like I did something wrong. So after the pharmacy closed for lunch, I found S and asked if there was something going on. She saw me and made a face and sped off. I followed her and asked again, and she said she really didn't want to talk to me and that I should just leave. I asked if it was about the other day, and she snapped yes, and said that I was a creep for staying, and I was a creep again for staying today too. I will admit that this set me off a little. I hate being called a creep. I told her that if it came from wanting her to be safe, and that she should be grateful. What if her boyfriend had flown off the handle and gotten unruly? She's like 5'1", so I know it was on her mind. She basically ignored this and said she had to go. She went into the employee room and didn't come back out. Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't want to be branded as some kind of stalker, but I don't feel like I was in the wrong for making sure she was safe the other day. Am I the butthole here? In a perfect world, where the rate of men's violence against women was exceptionally low, then in that theoretical existence, could you absolutely absolutely argue in your defense that you were falsely accused of being creepy and too much. But unfortunately, my good sir, we live in a world of reality where people around your age are commonly creeping on people her age. And considering how many of those men think they're totally innocent people, it's no surprise at all that you also think you're innocent. As comments say, you're a 37-year-old man. You don't have a rapport with her. You have a crush on her and you're behaving in an inappropriate way. You were creepy enough to be banned from the store and then you stalked her. That label isn't going anywhere. Another good thing to point out is that the only people who you find the term being called a creep as extremely frustrating to the point that they get angry about it like this man does is if you are consistently referred to and seen as a creep. It's almost as if this guy is consistently behaving in ways that make people respond to him as, hey, you're kind of a creep. Like, let's do some self-reflection here. Clearly, you are capable of coming across too much if you can turn someone from being allegedly en rapport with you to suddenly wanting nothing to do with you in their life. Anyway, friends, we might end today's video there. Thank you as always for watching. Love your face. Hope you enjoyed your tea or other refreshing refreshments. And until then, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.